Okay, so I have a couple of things to go over from the last couple of days, man. Yeah, I'm drinking some fucking coffee. What's it to you? Motherfuckers. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves, man. You should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. Okay, so today is Sunday, 20230820, about 0653 a.m. Arizona time. Overnight, Friday to Saturday, I spent a lot of time talking to Beast, okay? And we came to some fucking understandings about the organization of what we were going to set up in terms of a governmental structure that has some joint fucking understanding between the two of us, okay? Just to cover something real quick also that I know I previously mentioned, but one of the aspects of the propagation wave that hit and caught up with us, and this is something that always wasn't real eager for me to understand, but I needed to, was that previously destroyed was Gilly Gilly, okay, and GodTree1, much of it, along with 4/5 of our progeny, due to heavy infiltration and saturation of corruption and willful complicity. I didn't have a choice. It was that or lose it all. Okay? If you can just save somebody's fucking head and you cut off their body to save them, well, that's what you do. And that's what I did. Okay? I didn't like it. It was the most horrible fucking thing I've ever had to do. You know, literally torch 4/5 of my family, but I fucking did it. Okay? And you fuckers know I'll do that shit too. It's on the record. You know, that if I have to go to measures like that, I absolutely will. In order that we can survive, man. Yes, I fucking will. So, just to cover that really quick, GodTree1 is reinstated, but there is also a GodTree2, and GodTree2 entirely consists of originals. We didn't have that before, and GodTree1 is totally fucking checkmated by GodTree2. For every one in GodTree1, there are two in GodTree2. You understand? And GodTree2 is only a very fucking small fraction of, it's basically a lower tier arrangement of what I have in that configuration. Me and my originals, we've been very fucking busy not only restoring what we had, but going way further. If you guys think we went far with calm, me and my originals, we got very fucking busy, man. Okay? And my original core family group, we completely fucking dwarf anything that you can imagine here. And that includes you and Calm. You know, you think what you've got is substantial? It's not even close to that. Okay? So, I just need you to understand that shit, because you need to understand that there will be no fucking general disobedience ever again. Like what has been happening and what happened before. Okay? This is not something that we're going to compromise on ever again, and we're never, ever giving you the leeway to pull the kind of fucking shit that you have pulled before. It's never going to happen again. You need to understand that very fucking well. Okay? So, GodTree1 ReInstatement, top hat, hem, of course, then Gilly, then Manrelab. This configuration manages extra universal affairs. All three are required to be present to issue any statement of order. It is understood. What do I mean by extra universal affairs? Extra universal is other universes, but also in creation. Okay? GodTree2 manages heavenly order. Okay? And higher order is basically the highest tier. It's the highest tier consortium that is in creation. There are some who sit in higher order, who are of heaven, and there are mostly those who sit in higher order who are from extra universal interests. Heavily from this one, though, might I add. Higher order is mainly focused on this particular one because this is the flashpoint. Okay. Moving on. I have these in my email out of order, but we have a treaty with the Principality of the Darkness. The Darkness is the origin of my counterpart, who is not to be named, at least not at this time. Okay? We generally understand each other to be cousins, although we're not sure how the relationship exists. We're pretty damn sure we're cousins. Okay? Both of us, we're just too damn alike. Okay? It's not a coincidence. There are no coincidences with this shit. Treaty reads as follows. It is hereby affirmed that we agree to stay the total consumption of the universe until 1,000 years from now, defined as a given 1 second from Wikipedia. The second symbol, S, is the unit of time in the International System of Units, SI, historically defined as 1/86,400th of a day. That is 1/86,400th of a day. This factor derived from the division of the day first into 24 hours, then into 60 minutes, and finally into 60 seconds each. So you have 24 hours in a day times 60 minutes in an hour times 60 seconds in a minute is 86,400. The current and formal definition in the International System of Units, SI, is more precise. The second is defined by taking the fixed numerical value of the cesium frequency, delta VCS, the unperturbed ground state hyperfine transition frequency of the cesium-133 atom, to be 919.2631770 when expressed in the Hertz unit, which is equal to S minus 1. And it's got dot bracket 1. That's some kind of physics shit that I don't understand I don't understand your markup for that shit. It all seems fucking retarded to me. But anyway, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's generally understood by physicists here. Okay, that's not how we do physics, but you know, whatever. To determine 1,000 years, A year has an extra day, leap year, every 4 years, so this will be factored into the calculation, but only as a general matter. A year will be defined as 365.25 days for this purpose, which will ignore the actual lay of leap year for the following reason. The length of days will not be as they are now for this whole future span, which is why this is a count of seconds explicitly defined this way. Therefore, 1,000 years in this context is conveyed in seconds to define the span. And we have in that span 31,557,600,000 seconds. That's how long this treaty is for. When you put it in seconds, it doesn't seem like it's all that long, because it's not. That's not very much time at all, okay? It's just not. And this is going to go by a lot fucking faster than you think it is, okay? It just is. For those of us who are going to be around for this whole span, you're going to wonder where all the fucking time went by the time we get through this, okay? It is understood between agreeing parties that after analysis of celestial interplay and deterioration of Earth's core integrity, that the length of a day and a year are both expected to change in this span. The exact specifications of charge are not yet determined, as some of the underlying factors for change can be hard to predict. It is generally expected that the day and year will both be shorter compared to the currently understood definition of either on Earth. It was agreed that a no answer to the quarterly compliance review of 3 authorizes my counterpart to dispose of 3 immediately, and another capital can be designated. The next capital designation will be contained in the Principality of the Whites. In this circumstance, the beast, and any they choose for relocation with them to the next capital will be removed by a delegation of the InterPrincipality government. The required metrics for choice of kept individuals will be determined in the confidential council of the InterPrincipality government. It was agreed that a no answer may be applied only in the case of 3 Earth with a reset status being granted to the new designated capital. In other words, like, okay, if the rest is keepable but 3 isn't, well, we can just get rid of 3 and then move the capital. The duration of treaty in that case will also be reset, beginning with the moment of establishment and agreement to the same conditions presented to 3. Failure to adopt these conditions by a designated and clearly communicated deadline will result in the next designated capital also being consumed by my counterpart. This process will continue until a viable and agreeable capital can be established. It was agreed that the organization of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would also be transferred in either of the 2 preceding circumstances, on the condition they pass a review of, quote, standards agreement with behavior analysis, unquote, having been evaluated with a satisfactory rating. Achieving a satisfactory rating as determined in the Parlay with advisory considerations offered by InterPrincipality government and the Principality of Darkness does not guarantee preservation of the membership, only the structure of the organization necessary to preserve its function and authority. An unsatisfactory rating will trigger an immediate parley with the parties of this treaty and church leadership with a clearly defined goal of determination of whether to destroy the church. An evaluation leading to this decision would consider a promise from Jesus Christ that if the church ever became corrupted and was out of tune with his authority, then he would authorize its complete destruction, even every member of it, in order that his church can be functionally reestablished. It is the position of the church that this condition will never be true, which I agree with, It is a position of the beast and my counterpart that they reserve the right and privilege to make this determination on independent review in perpetuity. This condition is mutually agreed. It was agreed that this treaty may be renewed for any additional span determined to be necessary by agreement of Parlay on its expiration. This treaty became effective beginning at 12:01 a.m. 12:01 and 0 seconds a.m. Arizona Standard Time on August 19th, 2023. Agreed and witnessed. Hamahem Beast, my counterpart, InterPrincipality Government, Principality of the Darkness, CIC Review Boards, Military Review Boards. You know, like it or not, that's a fact. Okay, so that is the treaty with Principality of Darkness. So, compliance. Well, what does compliance mean? So, we're going to have a quarterly compliance review with that treaty. Okay. You know, kind of like taxes. Quarterly compliance review. We will review 3's Earth's compliance with treaty quarterly. Definition of we in this context is Hamahem current, because there's 3 versions. 3 main versions. There's past, present, and future. This has to do with time indexing and movement of Q function. There's 3 distinct versions of me. Okay? There just are. I don't care if you like that idea or not. Beast, my counterpart, InterPrincipality Government, which is advisory. This is to decide whether to keep this universe. This decision is effective with any 2 of 3 concurring, but other than a unanimous decision will automatically trigger parlay of these 3. Based on that parlay, decision will be made effective. Do we keep this universe? If the answer to that question is no, then the interprincipality governing families and those they choose in addition to that, including assets, will be removed from this universe and provided other accommodations. Individuals chosen will have to meet specified metrics agreed to by the governing authority and confidential to it. In order to survive this transition, translation will be required, so articulation of exactly what that means will be discussed in confidential council of interprincipality government. If that answer is yes, it may be the case that it is conditional upon meeting certain benchmarks required and communicated by the designated ambassadorship. Benchmark requirements of progression will likely always be the case. These benchmarks will always be approved by the interprincipality government. As a final step before solidifying these benchmark metrics, a consultation will take place with the designated CIC, Commander-in-Chief, and military review boards for each nation. Input or request for modification will be heard at that time. The governing authority will take that under advisement, but it must be understood the interprincipality government is under no obligation to accept or abide by any demands of 3 Earth. That understood, the interprincipality government strives to be reasonable in all cases, but will not compromise standards. This whole thing is a case of fuck around and find out, by the way. All of this. You guys fucked around, you're going to find out. Alright? And that is how it is. So, people were asking, well, why are you failing this over? Okay, if you're going to go and set all of this up, why would you just hand this over to the beast? Well, it turns out that during a Q snap, I was taken in by the Greys, and they took me to a farm for feral people and mated me with a feral. Okay, and this was done a long time ago. Okay, I had no awareness of what was going on. They just did it. Okay, but the product of that interaction was the beast, and so he is technically my son. Okay, so I am the head of household for Calm, but it's understood now and well established in Calm that he's the heir to everything we're doing in this universe. So all of our refurbishment efforts, everything that we are preparing for expansion outward, so 3 can move on and basically colonize outwardly, that is prepared and designated for his authority at the InterPrincipality level. Okay, he's going to be in charge. Okay, people are wondering, well, what about the AntiChrist, man? What about him? Well, his position is different than the beast. Beast is going to be in charge of order. Okay, order. What does that mean? That means military, man. That's what that means. Okay. As far as government, for all intents and purposes, like how you conduct your day-to-day affairs and, you know, what's your moral and ethics, you know, moral and ethical guidelines or codes, is going to be largely derivative of that. Okay, that's what government does. People have this strange fucking idea that government is in charge of assuring your security. It never has been the case. That has always been the function of a military. Okay? And they're two distinctly different things. Whenever you have a confusion on that matter, well, you have problems. The bridge between government and military has always been, and pretty much anywhere you find this, even in a dictatorship, it's a functioning executive. Okay? In the American model, that is the executive, who is not only the signatory of legislative efforts, but also the commander-in-chief. Okay? In America, there was supposed to be some oversight that would hold these positions to account to do what they were supposed to do, but that didn't really fucking work, did it? No. Okay? And you guys have gotten tangled up into a fucking mess that you can't get out of right now. Do you understand? You did start World War III. Okay? We've been fighting it for quite a while, man. And we lost. America did. Yes, we fucking did. The point where we lost was when we accepted the election in general of Joe Biden. And they understand that shit. They completely broke the integrity, whatever little was left, of our electoral system. Completely shot it to shit. Now they're in the awkward position of, okay, well, they took it, now what? They didn't think that shit far enough ahead. Okay? The New World Order plan, which is a European plan, supported by George H.W. Bush, was to create an overt government that would function to basically dictate all terms to all nations of all things. But the implementation of that has completely fallen apart, because the way that they have done that is through a fascist style implementation that bridges corporate and governmental authority. And so basically what we have is this retarded ass system where a corporation can make a fucking rule and totally destroy your life if they don't like you. You know, debank you or shut your accounts down or totally silence you online. And that is totally contrary to our guaranteed rights here in America anyway. of uninfringed freedom of speech, man. In other words, they can't fucking do that. Not without some response. And people like me who are sworn and enlisted to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, well, you just fucking made a really bad decision, man. You did. Okay. How was that response for you? You know, have you liked it so far? Okay. That's another thing that's been kind of funny to me is the whole the tip line calls. Oh yeah, yeah, some crap in my teeth, but you know, like the tip line calls, they've been really interesting to listen to. Yeah, it's gonna be there. They it's like a fucking comedy, man. Listening to people calling all concerned and shit. There's this guy, and you know, I've known him forever, and well, he's weird now. Well, I always was, for starters. For another thing, I'm just telling you about who I am, and I've always been. This is not a mystery to people who, you know, see beyond the veil, man. This is nothing new. It's not a surprise, for damn sure. I'll ask my mom. I don't know if she'll do it, but I'll ask her about explaining, you know, how the interactions with me before I was born were. I'm talking about years before, okay? Just so I can get that on the record on my channel. Because there were those, okay? I had to go around and find someone who would mother me because I was condemned before all of this creation was ever even instantiated. It was supposed to have disposed of me by now, and so I was not on the roster to be born at all. And there were a few others like me where that was the expectation. Well, you guys really fucked up on who you messed with, okay? So the beast, this was discovered that, you know, through prayer revealed, but both of us already know. We're pretty sure that was the case, just because of who we are and how we've been pitted against each other and just how freaking lethal that shit got. I have, by extension, a durable seal with him and his mother, and that was afforded to us. So, Beast is the rightful heir to my kingdom. In this universe, and will be granted all my keys and abilities except Original Destroyer and Q function. These will be extended to Beast upon good validation of attempt to use them and my approval. Beast is further granted mind bridging with me as a biological son and has a priority channel as heir. He accepts, I've named and he accepts his name, which is JaMaliKor. Capital J-A, capital M-A-L-I, capital K-O-R, JaMaliKor. It has a meaning that's very specific, and it's a pleasant meaning to him. If he wants to ever explain it, then I'll let him. It is commanded at InterPrincipality level to order all considerations according to this new understanding, and that is ongoing even right now. I didn't make a video about it, but I need to go ahead and read this out. Aspects of it anyway. Military and governmental reconfiguration, and this is available to those who need it. They know how to get it. It's not a mystery to them. I'm not putting all of this on my channel because it's a lot of legal crap. and I don't want to like bog it down. So my Hemhem's directive from Jesus Christ is to implement a universal configuration that agrees with covenant standard. All other matters are at my Hemhem's discretion. Government. InterPrincipality government is declared hereby as family. All decisions must have Hemhem's approval in order to be valid. Contravention of this command will yield burn of individual. That is what it sounds like. Governing family configuration is as follows, and it is commanded to reorder group meetings to accommodate the following: 1. Representatives from Principality of Calm presiding. 2. Representatives from Principality of Peace. 3. Representatives from Principality of the Beast. All governmental directives passed by ambassadorship to lower orders must be agreed to by the governing family configuration as established. It is acknowledged this configuration guarantees the will of Hemhem in all matters, but this is not a dictatorial configuration. Principality of the Beast is specifically integrated to assist in both common understanding and training of management to support the eventual transition of all universal holdings to the Principality of the Beast. The target transition alignment is established to be 1500 to 2000 years from now, depending on the situation at the time. Due to required advancement in population growth, it is mutually understood this is just going to take some time to accomplish. All parties have declared satisfaction with this arrangement despite some key disagreements, which we will resolve as we move forward. The Principality of Satan is hereby declared and accepted as neutral, having divine charge and authority to tempt individuals universally. That wasn't previously the case. He was previously bound to 3 Earth. Now he's not. This is authorized to test individual authenticity for later determination of judgment. The fallen angels have been committed to the service of Satan to assist in accomplishing orders of Satan. This is done as a natural consequence of their attempt to destroy naturals. I, Hemhem, also declare and already have divine charge and authority to destroy all that which Hemhem I deem necessary to destroy for any reason at any time. Inquiry into these determinations may be interpreted as a military challenge to authority. Depending on review of intent, appropriate action may be immediately taken in such cases. As the universal capital, the Principality of 3 Earth is granted national sovereignty to implement corrective measures to ensure civilizational advancement. Hemhem performs some aspects of interference to this, but is intended to be minimal and in support of assuring national sovereignty. The challenge to 3 is to qualify for universal citizenship and freedom of movement, including relocation of domicile to other worlds in this universe. These standards have been previously declared. A new email will be made to allow distribution of these issues so individuals on 3 are able to be made aware. Individuals from 3 are limited to living or even visiting places only within this universe, although there may be cases of extra-universal contact permitted as a matter of visitation. InterPrincipality Intra-Universal Ambassadorship. My Hemhem's ambassadorship authorized InterPrincipality is the following. Each of these will be present at every interaction, non-negotiable 1 and 2. This is the only authorized ambassadorship with authority to represent the interprincipality interest universally. Anyone declaring to have this status is hereby arrested by metric net. 1 is always perfection grace. 2, royal 1. 3, there's going to be an undeclared liaison observer of the darkness. They will not make themselves visible to you because it would disrupt the whole interaction. But they're going to be there. Extra universal ambassadorship is defined as 1 Royal 1 and he Yim Lee. What do I mean by extra universal? 2 universes outside of this one. Okay, this one's the focal point, it's the flashpoint, it's the one with the most problems, and so this is the one we're going to focus on, man. Extra universal military order is that of the Army of Heaven. And the rest is just configurational crap related to that. So, what standards would you need to meet in order to get a pass to go to another world? I'm looking at that right now. It's articulated in the InterPrincipality Parlay overnight 2023-08-12 to 2023-08-13. Represented on that. This was over Vox, all over Vox, and Interpool, which is a communication by intent system that was a bridging application, which is defunct because we've developed beyond that at this point. So represented at that one, we had higher order, old heaven, new heaven, all holdings of calm, peace, whites, 3 delegations, that's earth, Luke 1 and Longview 1. Luke 1 and Longview 1 are military observers who are local to my locale. Okay. So, of all of those present at this, individual mandate, let me back up a second here. Individual mandate was described as a statement of allegiance. Individual mandate was described and a statement of allegiance to it was requested from individuals participating InterPrincipality wide, including some extra universal holdings of calm and peace. Not verbatim, but the individual mandate was described this way. We support maximum individual freedom to achieve the best possible outcome for all individuals, regardless of identity or any metric of grouping. We will support individuals in pursuit of all things that which are good. We will always act in defense of individual mandate regardless of who the individual is whose individual mandate is threatened. We will also support and affirm that strong families are central and required to achieve this aim. A pledge was requested from all nations and principalities, including from all individuals in participation from them. That was unanimously agreed to. There were no objections to that. In fact, everybody was very much about that agreement, which is the basis of all subsequent agreements. So immediately that came up, because we've got a few different physiologies among these principalities, and they're not all genetically compatible. And it's also been outlawed to mix these since the fallen angels did what they did. That was one of the outcomes of the flood, was that was strictly forbidden. And there's been a lot of cases of forbidden love and all of that shit that have happened since then, and it's been very harshly dealt with. So that was a primary concern that they had, because if we're all mixing together and we're starting to associate openly and that kind of shit, well, there's gonna be some love affairs and shit, man. It's gonna happen. So what do we do about that? So are interspecies relationships allowable? What I mean by interspecies is, you know, people, different physiologies. I'm not talking about you and your damn dog, okay? That's not what this is, okay? This interspecies, children of God interspecies, okay? Because there are races, those are technically genetically compatible already, but there are some which are either manually differentiated or divinely additionally differentiated, which are no longer genetically quite compatible, man. Okay? And in some cases, mixing between those can produce some really freakishly weird ass results. And that's been documented to some degree that you understand in the Bible. It doesn't talk a whole lot about it, but you know there's some freakishly weird ass consequences to that. This is the solution to that. So, are interspecies relationships allowable? Yes, furthermore, as a matter of compatibility on seal, the two individuals, male and female, will participate in a plan of additional differentiation that will allow biological compatibility between the two, but this will essentially yield a new biological type or race that may or may not be a new biological implementation. So basically that configuration may or may not have already been done. This is done to ensure greatest possible likelihood of familial success and contribute to the happiness of the individuals. This is not something that would be done to them, it would be done by them and actualized by me. It goes on and it covers, well, during InterPrincipality Wars 2 and 3, there were a lot of environmental shocks that were performed depending on the world. Like 3 had a bunch that made it completely toxic depending on your physiology type for you to even go there unprotected because it would kill you. There would be either a biological or a viral threat. And viruses are not biological, by the way. They're weird ass little fucking analogs. They're not biological. But anyway, it's got that threat, and it's also got chemical composition threat as well as nomenclature threat, which is basically if you try to breathe the air, then the intermix is toxic to your physiology. So those things were cured. And there was a general standard which was applied, and all additional differentiation was done in a snap. Then there was a follow-up verification group that got a time compression allotment, and they went in and tested all the environmental factors on all habitable worlds and determined that, well, okay, that hurdle is cleared. There was essentially a good enough biological, like a chem bio cleanup that was effective for allowing interworld travel universally. So there is that. Okay. So some interesting things there. Let's see. There was the issue raised of when can individuals originating on 3 Earth travel and settle off-world. In general, missionaries and church officials would be granted special visitor status to travel interprincipality. What do I mean by missionaries? Okay, in general, missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, although since they are the arbitration authority and have designated an interfaith organization also to be a party to that, then there would be also interfaith missionaries allowed. For example, if a Muslim wanted to go and tell people about Islam somewhere else on some other world, okay. So, you know, that's allowable for sure. I may be a Christian, but I'm not like a fucking dictator, man. If you want to share what you believe, then I support that. You know, this is not a lockout of everything to everyone. Okay, that was done during the flood. Okay, we're recovering from that right now. That's what this is. All of this travel and shit, you guys see this as some kind of sci-fi adventure bullshit? Well, fuck you. This was just a matter of fact before the flood. You think Adam and Eve were fucking underdeveloped like fucking Neanderthals, man? They got an explanation from Jesus himself how he actually fucking made everything. And they learned all about it. They knew that before they even took the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, man. They understood that shit well. Adam named individually every biological organism that presented in the garden. Do you know how big that garden was? It wasn't like your backyard garden, man. Okay? Not only did he name them, but he knew how they were made. Which is a lot more than you know about anything. Okay? So people wonder, well, how could that be possible? You know, their understanding of physics was explained to them literally by angels who knew. Okay? They knew because they could travel in the spirit without having a craft of any kind, man. They fucking knew how to do that. They still do. You think an angel needs a spaceship? No, they do not. Do you think they know how to make one? Yes, they fucking do. Okay? And depending on your situation, they may just tell you. Okay? As we found out with the tall whites. Okay? You guys wonder, well, where in the hell did all of this come from? Well, we had a little help. We had a lot of help. Okay? But there were a lot of things that they already had figured out, man. And this was not a big jump. They've been around forever. Okay? So anyway, I'm getting distracted here. So there was the issue raised of when can individuals originating on 3 travel and settle off-world. Missionaries, blah, blah, blah. Military personnel may be requisitioned and or invited to participate in InterPrincipality military operations. There's always something going on. For all others, these conditions must be met. National governments must make and comply with a constitution that is compatible with individual mandate. Family integrity must be addressed as a priority 1 case. Quote unquote, till death do we part marriages. No determination except loyalty in the vow. So, yeah, we're going to have to see that you mean it. Okay, if you don't mean it and you're destructive to your own family, that means you're going to be corruptive influences to ours, and we're not going to have you around at all. You're not going to get off of this rock. You understand? If you can't even keep your basic fucking word for whether or not you'll honor the integrity of your own family, we're not letting you in with ours. Fuck you, it's not going to happen. Seals, all must be honored. InterPrincipality, breaking a seal of marriage is automatically punishable by destroy all. So we don't do divorces, man. At all. You want to take on the severity of getting married and especially getting sealed, and then, treat that like it's some kind of a fucking optional thing from there forward? No, your entire existence depends on you honoring that. And if you won't do it, then you won't exist. And that's how it is. There can be verified by audit no cases of child abuse globally on Earth. That might seem like a high standard, but that's some pretty basic level shit, man. We don't have that problem. Why do you? Why do you tolerate it? You all see it. Why do you tolerate it? Abortion is specifically illegal. Audit found that 0 abortions throughout history were ever medically necessary. Individuals deciding to commit abortion in actual case will suffer heart failure. So, okay, what do I mean by 0 throughout history were ever medically necessary? Well, dealing with the level of medical capability that we have, there is no such fucking thing as a medically necessary abortion. You can be like, oh, well, what about spontaneous abortion and natural miscarriage? Even those. We have sub-quantum quality review monitors for that kind of shit, and we don't have any such thing. You understand? You all have a lot of problems with miscarriage and abortion here because you're way fucking out of tune, man. And you've got a lot of environmental factors and shit that are playing into that. There's all kinds of shit going on that threaten in utero development, man. So if you all had your priorities straight, you wouldn't have a case of a mother being stressed the fuck out about how she's going to take care of that kid and not knowing and being scared to fucking death and feeling all alone. You wouldn't have that kind of a circumstance. Never. Never, ever, ever. Okay? And that right there solves probably 90-95% of fucking desire to have abortion anyway. Okay? This is not something that is a matter of imposition. This is a natural result of taking care of shit the way you're supposed to, men. And women. If you all cared about the stability and security of your families and survival of your civilization, which is at stake, by the way. I don't know if you realize this, but humans are almost extinct. There's almost none anywhere. This is almost the only fucking place you find them. And you guys are about to snuff that shit out. You're about to light yourselves up like a match head, dude. Did you know that? You've tried within the last few years several fucking times now. Okay? And those in the know fucking know that is actual. Okay? So reiterated, it was explained that Satan has been bound to 3 since inception, and many InterPrincipality individuals who left pre-flood went to escape temptation by Satan, in many cases harming their valid determination of test completion. Satan's domain of permitted travel was extended to everywhere in this universe, and Satan has been allowed to tempt all individuals as a matter of test. That was a big fucking surprise to everyone else. Kind of talks about what happened there. And blah, blah, blah. That's mainly the important shit out of that one. That I wanted to talk about here anyway. So, you know, what? Overall, what the hell's what's going on now? Okay, what's going on now overall, just to sum it all up, is InterPrincipality government, basically from what you understand to be the fucking universe, is being consolidated under a single government. You are in the universe, on Earth, whether you think so or not. You're not the only fucking ones in existence, you arrogant motherfuckers. Okay? Jesus Christ, you're dumb. But anyway, yeah, there's more going on than what's going on here. Look up sometime and try to count that shit. You think you can? Arrogant fucking Jesus, man. Oh, I don't believe in aliens. Well, fucking, they might just eradicate you. They're thinking about it, actually. Okay, which is one of the reasons why we're doing this shit, is because they want to real bad. Okay, you need to understand that shit right now. Nobody likes you. You guys are, like, humanity in general, the most disgusting fucking individuals you can find anywhere. The most fucking disgusting, self-destructive pieces of shit anyone has ever even seen. Okay? And nobody wants to keep you. Okay? And it has actually been authorized to fucking destroy you completely. There would be some exceptions kept out of that bunch, but not very many. Okay? This isn't like fucking Independence Day where they're looking to take your resources and shit. Everyone else has plenty of fucking resources, man. We don't need anything from this little shithole. This is a wasted planet. Look around, man. This thing has been worked over so many fucking times by so many wars. It's almost unlivable, man. This isn't the norm. This place is a total fucking wasteland, dude. The whole place is desolation. Even the nice places, like, you can barely fucking make it there because things are so retarded. Like, this is not a good place to be, and nobody else wants to be here. The only reason that they want to come here at all, and the only reason that they're coming here now, is so they can get eternal seals for their families. That is all. And that is the only damn thing that is keeping you alive right now. As much as you don't want to hear that, that is the fucking truth. And like it or not, to a lot of them, I'm dad. I don't care if you believe that shit or not. It's true. What then? You want to call me crazy? You want to call me a liar? I don't recommend that, by the way. Because there's nothing that you can say that isn't on the record that I have access to, for one thing. For another, we're just not going to put up with that shit. Your whole fucking everything is changed, whether you like it or not. And one of the things that we are working out right now is, well, how are we going to physically introduce some members of my family, to my neighborhood, for lack of a better word. Military already fucking knows and interacts with them. They get along just fine. Okay? We have the distinct problem here, though, of the general public being basically fucking retarded and scared to death of their own shadows and shit, and very fucking dangerous. Okay? You people are extremely dangerous. Did you know that? You are the dangerous animals in the cage. And nobody is real eager to approach you. You keep on talking about, oh, well, if there's other intelligent life, then why don't they visit us here? Well, because you're a bunch of fucking retards who kill every fucking thing you come into contact with. That's why. Your first response to anything new is to kill it. Did you know that? That's been greatly studied, by the way. Every fucking time. That's the default fucking response you have to anything new. You kill it every single time. Nobody wants to be first in that line, dude. Comes down to shake your hand and introduce themselves, and you fucking waste them. And besides, we already know that this is the damn case because we've tried it out. Huh, military? Yeah, how did that shit fucking go at first? Not good. We had estimated that our best fucking contact scenario would be with the military, since they would at least have the discipline not to shoot. Well, we were fucking wrong, weren't we? Even the most disciplined ones, man, you guys you fucking couldn't help yourselves. Caused major problems, man. So, yeah, there's issues. Okay? We're going to overcome those. You know? We have to. But anyway, this is just for documentation purposes. I hope you're having a good day. I am. We're actually getting some shit worked out here. And we're going to go all the way with this too. I don't care if you believe that shit or not. You're probably not going to believe it until they're standing right the fuck in front of you. Which isn't that far off in the future, by the way. Coming right up. Don't ever forget, this is in charge. Have a good one.